If you're buying a new set of wheels, there's a lot to consider. There's wheel diameter, rim width, spoke count, and then there's that age-old debate of alloy versus carbon. Well, today I'm going to hone into that last one and pit the two materials against each other in order to help you decide which one you want. So if you like content like this and you want some more helpful advice in the future, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do love a mixed wheel setup. We're here in Finale Ligure, arguably the home of Enduro, and that got me thinking about the pros in the Enduro World Cup scene because they're at the height of their game, but they're choosing alloy wheels instead of carbon. But why is that? So carbon wheels are known to be stiff and strong, and you would expect the pros to be choosing that over alloy. I mean, to be fair, an alloy wheel can be built strong and stiff as well. You can have different alloy materials, different rim widths, even different spokes and different spoke tension can help you achieve that. But the real reason that Enduro World Cup riders are choosing alloy over carbon is more of a safety feature. Not to say that carbon is not safe, however, if you were to hit something, then alloy is more likely to bend and dent, whereas carbon is more likely to crack. So that means that there won't be a complete seal around the bead for the tyre. And Enduro World Cup riders, they don't have a pit stop. They have to complete the race on the same bike and the same set of wheels. So we can kind of see why they're making that choice over carbon. By contrast, you'll see the vast majority of riders, if not all of the riders, in the cross-country World Cup scene will be on carbon wheels. Now, the big difference between cross-country racing and enduro racing is that cross-country will have a tech zone, and they will be able to pull off during a race and swap out a wheel if they need to. Also, manufacturers can change the rim profile and the depths and even adapt the way they lay up the carbon in order to make these rims really stiff but also very light. And this will be a benefit to cross-country racers who want a light set of wheels so that they're easier to accelerate, easier to climb, but also still stiff enough to take the speed and the technicality of current World Cup races. When it comes to professional downhill riders, there's still a real mix when it comes to choosing between carbon and alloy rims. Of course, the vast majority of downhillers are sponsored pros rather than privateers spending their own money, but teams like Pivot Factory Racing, who are sponsored by Reynolds wheels, will probably have the pick of whatever they want, and yet they choose to run carbon exclusively. Now let's not forget trail riding, because this is probably what most of us do. Not XC smashing and not enduro ploughing, just good old-fashioned fun in the single track. With most trail bikes being circa 140mm and typically being referred to as short travel bikes, feedback from wheels becomes much more noticeable. So you could argue that this is the category where wheels matter the most. Now, a good set of carbon wheels will make the bike snappier and more responsive, as they are, generally speaking, a lot stiffer. But bear in mind that no two sets of wheels are built alike. For example, carbon rims can be built to add strength for the jump park, for example, but they also can be built to be much lighter if your trail riding is all about those long days in the saddle. So let's talk about price and weight, and a little disclaimer here. Obviously, I've ridden two different brands of wheels to get my carbon and my alloy. However, both wheels have a similar internal and external width on the rim, and they are both used for a similar application. So the FSA carbon wheels weigh 1,736 grams as a pair of 29ers, and they cost $1,660. Now, the Spank alloy wheels will will weigh 2,127 grams, but they cost $770. So often there is a relationship between price and weight, and sometimes you either have to choose a lighter wheel set or something that's lighter on the wallet. Now, the reason behind this is that carbon, pound for pound, is much stronger than metal, which means that you can use less material in order to have the same strength rating. So less material obviously means lighter, but that raw material for carbon is much more expensive than alloy. And it also requires a hand-making process to be laid up and then often cured in a mold. So the labor costs and the time are much more costly as well. So it's horses for courses, but let's head back onto the trail and see what this actually feels like in real life. Oh, I do love a mixed wheel setup, I'll tell you that. Definitely rocky around finale. Oh, finale is rough, but yeah, it would be interesting to see whether I actually noticed that there was compliance on these when I switch over to carbon. Am I going to get more speed in the corners? Who knows? Let's switch them out. Right, it's carbon time. Oh, they look so pretty. And there we have the carbon wheels. Oh, let me catch my breath, sit down on a step over there, and I'll tell you my thoughts. Okay, so that's carbon versus alloy, and I've got to say, there wasn't a huge amount of difference here. I would say, well, first off, disclaimer, I am less than 60 kilos, so I don't think I would put as much force through the wheels as a heavier or a really fast pro rider, for example. But I did notice the carbon wheels and the alloy wheels were most noticeable going through rock gardens. Now, the carbon wheels would kind of draw a straight line straight through anything that was rough, whereas the alloy wheels kind of pinged a little bit. Now, I should imagine that's to do with the alloy wheels having a bit of flex, but I didn't find it off-putting when I was riding them. And I must admit, had I have ridden them all day, would the carbon wheels be more fatiguing, even though they're more precise? So I guess that's the kind of trade-off that you'll make with the two materials. And no one is better than the other, but it just might be your preferred material. But what do you think? Do you always ride alloy or do you always ride carbon? Have you tried the both? Did you notice any difference? Let us know down in the comments below and help out that GMBN tech community with their future decisions.